Jason Minix, The Blitz.
It is The Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250, 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. Glad to have you along on a Monday after a long holiday weekend. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Some people a little bit more thankful than others because they had new additions to their family, yet they're still showing up for their scheduled appointment, fresh haircut and all. RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com. We'll have to get over to 1911 Cigars and get you one next time I see you in person. Congratulations, sir, on the birth of your son. It's always an exciting time. Get plenty of rest. You're going to need it. And we got to talk some Cowboys, man. From the good news to the bad.
First of all, appreciate the congratulations. Means a lot to come from you. Second of all, yes, fresh haircut. Third of all, not a victory polo Monday, obviously, for the Dallas Cowboys. I would have thought that you would have worn one on behalf of Broel's birth. Pledge dressed up. Look how sharp he is. But you actually dressed down, Jason, wearing a T-shirt. Maybe that's actually some fatherly advice. Like, don't dress up too nice. He's going to spit up, whatever. I see what you're doing here. You're playing chess while we're playing checkers.
I wore my victory polo Monday after the loss on Friday. See, it's the day after the game that you have to wear it. And, you know, I'm wearing a Navy T-shirt today. It was actually the T-shirt underneath the half zip that I was wearing when I was running around. But, you know, once I got home and started doing the show, it's my house is comfortable. So half zip off, T-shirt on. And Pledge, you know, he's going to be taking orders later at a fancy steakhouse about 8 o'clock for the late dinner reservation. So he's dressed up, ready to go to work.
Pledge looks sharp as always. You know, I got to be honest. I think the emotion you described is not discussed often enough by people because I know you, Jason. You are very proud of your half zip collection. And so when you put one on for the day, you're like, this looks sharp. This is a great memory. I hope somebody asks me about this so I can talk about it. And then you get home and you're like, man, it's comfortable in here. Like, I've got to take this off. So, you know, the great talking piece I'm wearing now is rendered useless.
Well, and again, I go find it's in the dirty clothes, but it was the red Army Navy polo because we're 2 weeks away from being in New York for Army Navy. Army dropped their uniforms today with what they're going to wear. Navy is going to drop their uniforms tomorrow. And I have a feeling it's going to be Navy Aviation. Yeah.
The best one was the different types of ships on the helmets. Like, you know what I've decided? If they don't wear anything but Navy as far as the color, I'm rooting for Army. That's my new rule.
Say that again.
If Navy is wearing any color except for Navy, then I am rooting for Army to win. So if they're violating the literal principle that is go Navy, I want Army to win.
I will say, if you've been paying attention this year, although Navy did have a big win Saturday over Temple, they're not very good this year. Smart money is going to be on Army. I'm just saying, Army's really good. It pains me to say that, but Army is really good. The Cowboys haven't been really good as of late. They are in a funk. We'll get into a lot of the stuff going on with the Cowboys, with Coach McCarthy missing the game Thursday against the Saints and the protocols. Tristan Hill just got suspended. But I want to go back and let's go back a couple of weeks. Would you agree Dak Prescott is in a slump? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and I think when I won Rock the Mic, that was the OG, Romo Dak days. If you didn't like, there were wars fought in the streets, and we have evolved from that point to where I think now the consensus among intelligent people is that Dak is a franchise quarterback. You do run into the occasional numbskull, but if you ever criticize Dak the way you just did, you're painted as what a hater. You're a Romosexual. You don't believe in Dak Prescott. So it's not exactly vogue to vocalize that he is not playing well, but this is arguably the worst 4-game stretch of his career. Even in the win, he had the rushing touchdown, late in the game against the Falcons that I would put up there with some of the more questionable decisions that he's made over the last month.
And I think it's fair. I am a Romosexual, but I am I am a believer in Dak Prescott, but also I can look at my quarterback and say something doesn't seem right with him. He seems off target. There's one pass in particular to Noah Brown where he was sliding. The pass was down and away. Now, granted, it hit you in the hands, dude. Catch the damn ball. But it wasn't a good pass. And a dialed-in Dak Prescott makes that throw easy. And I don't know what it is right now with Dak Prescott, but he seems off with his accuracy, and it's got to be more than just no Amari and no CD.
Yeah, and I think that it's fair to say those things and no Tyron, right? And it's fair, but if Dak is going to be that guy, and we all fully acknowledge that he is that guy, he's held to a higher standard, right? Like that, the play you mentioned, the two people involved in the play are a fifth-year, seventh-round wide receiver, and granted a fourth-round quarterback, but an elite franchise quarterback being paid among the very elite, somebody who many people regard, rightly so, as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So the onus falls onto Dak Prescott's shoulders, and so I think what's wrong with him, and I know Pledge just ducked out for the audio-only audience, but it goes back to something actually Pledge tipped me off to a few years ago there in the studio, and it was something that Dak said on the Cowboys Hour with Brad Sham and Taylor Stern. He talked about the Golden Corral analogy that John Kitna taught him, and how some things are about just taking what's in front of you, not waiting in line at Golden Corral for the prime rib at the very end. And it just feels like he's trying to force too many things. Like he's not necessarily shooting for prime rib, but he's like, I'm here, I want the swordfish. I'm here, I want the baby back ribs. And it's like, dude, just take what's in front of you sometimes. Like, especially without Amari, without CD, there's no prime rib to be had. You have to, you're on Survivor. You're Tom Hanks on the island. You got to build a diet out of what's available. And it seems like he hasn't been able to do that the last few weeks.
He hasn't. Now, he has had some throws that, like on the 2-point play, that pass out to the tight end. I mean, that was perfect.
Or the Schultz touchdown. The Schultz touchdown was one of the prettiest throws he's ever made.
But at the same time, it just feels like, I don't want to say he lacks confidence, because I don't think that's fair, and I don't think Dak Prescott lacks confidence. But he seems rushed, or maybe it's a lack of confidence in some of the receivers that are out there. It took him forever to go to Michael Gallup in that game, especially long, and some of that's what the defenses are doing, and that is a byproduct of no Amari Cooper and no CeeDee Lamb, and I think we're finding out real quick why, as good as Cedric Wilson is, he's still a backup. He's good for 10 or 15 plays a game, not 30 plays a game.
Yeah, and I think, that's what's tough, and a lot of people have had some words and said some things about Amari Cooper and his absence over the last 2 weeks. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb, suffered a concussion. What can you do about that? And, for me, it was, the early part of the 2018 season, Dak was awful. And those are some rough days, especially, on the air, on the blitz, just because so many people didn't believe. And then the Cowboys on October 22nd of that year traded for Amari Cooper, and that changed. And we have long looked, at least I have long looked, at that day as not only the day that Amari Cooper arrived, but the day that Dak Prescott became unlocked. I've never necessarily attributed his unlocking specifically to Amari in terms of it being dependent on it, but a lot of people have. A lot of people have said, look at the early parts of 2018. He couldn't make it work. What kind of franchise quarterback is he if he can't do it all on his own? And that's a ridiculous thing to say, but it's how it goes. And so right now, the last two games are proving to give life to that idea, right? So to give life to the idea that without Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott is not the elite franchise quarterback that we've come and know him to be. And, shocker here, even elite quarterbacks are better with elite wide receivers on the field. But it's tough. It's made those arguments and those conversations a little bit more difficult. And, the Cowboys had earned and Dak had earned, not that Dak needed it, but an enormous benefit of the doubt. And they have spent it all. And they are back down to ground zero here. And that's why I think everyone's triggered. Everybody's emotional. Everybody's feeling these post-Thanksgiving blues, wondering if this is the beginning of the skid.
RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com joining us here on The Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. It would also help if Zeke was 100%, was running the ball a little bit better, and all the other factors that are there. But you look at what's ahead of the Cowboys. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games, Atlanta being the only win, and that was a blowout win. But their 3 losses were to the AFC West. So when you start looking at tiebreakers, it sucks to lose any game. But if you're going to lose to the AFC. You've got New Orleans coming up Thursday night. Then football team Giants, football team Cardinals, Eagles. Stretch run. Everything that the Cowboys want is still right in front of them. And because the Eagles are the Eagles, they couldn't beat the Giants yesterday to even make the NFC East somewhat interesting. So you look down the road and you feel like the Cowboys, if they can get healthy at the right time, which is start playing good football in the month of December, That's what you want going into the playoffs. It starts Thursday night against New Orleans, but COVID has really hit the complex. I'd rather have Mike McCarthy on his couch than, say, Dak Prescott. But I'm very concerned over the next couple of days about getting reports of positive tests. But assuming it stays within the coaching staff and Terrence Steele is the only player and Amari Cooper is able to come back, what do you expect Thursday night, Cowboys Saints?
This is it's a mess. You know what I mean? And it's a mess. It's an organized mess. And I think it's even a mess for like us, right? Like it's a mess for you, Jason. Like you're on till 7. You got to get out. You got to book it. You got to hightail home or to the Roo Pub because the Cowboys are playing. It messes with your week. It messes with your routine when they play on Thursday night. And so it's really awkward. And now you've got all these coaching situations. And yes, Dan Quinn's obviously going to be heading things and he has some experience. I do wonder if, and not to take away from Dan Quinn, but if it had been, I don't know, the Cleveland Browns, would Dan Quinn have been the person chosen? He obviously has an extensive history in the NFC South specifically. But I kind of expect a mess, and I kind of am leaning. I would not take the Cowboys to cover. I don't know, what your preferred outlet is, but our partner at SB Nation is DraftKings Sportsbook, and the Cowboys open to 7-point favorites. I wouldn't touch that. Because like I said, I don't think they have a benefit of the doubt right now. I don't trust them to come out and take care of a subpar team. I think they might, come out slow. I think they might be staggered. I think they might have some whoops-a-daisies. I don't even know that I feel confident in Terrence Steele not playing and therefore Lyle Collins starting. I know a lot of people are saying, okay, finally the best, combination of tackles is playing. And, I'm in this circle of like, do I trust the coaching staff? Do I not trust the coaching staff? Because if I do trust the coaching staff, this is the same group of people who a week ago decided with healthy options to go with Terrence Steele over Lyle Collins at right tackle on a short week. And so if they're right, then this isn't necessarily a good thing. If they're wrong, then they're wrong. And now I have to worry about their decision-making on a more macro level. So there are a lot of things. I think it would be very difficult for them to have a game where we all wake up on Friday morning saying, everything's fixed, everything's hunky-dory, let's go, football team next Sunday.
RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com, not trusting the Cowboys right now, and for good reason. They've got to re-earn our trust. Now, DeMarcus Lawrence is back. That's going to help the defense. Just his presence alone is going to help the defense. And I think the last couple of games have really showed the importance of Randy Gregory, because there are a lot of opportunities where you've kind of felt like if there was any kind of a pass rush, that things would be different. And of course, the Raiders bailed out by penalties, but I try not to blame the refs all the time. But Anthony Brown, geez, come on, dude. But you look at it and you go with D-Law back against who's going to start at quarterback for the Saints? Simeon?
It's probably Taysom Hill. It's
Taysom?
Probably going to be Taysom Hill.
All right. Well, it depends, because now Taysom's got a contract that says if he makes more if he plays quarterback, which makes me wonder if he's ever going to play quarterback again. We don't know about Alvin Kamara yet, who for my fantasy team, I need him to play and do well. But at the same time, I look at this Saints offense, and I know it's Sean Payton, but I feel like this is a team that the Cowboys defense could really show something, and Dan Quinn needs to prove something, and hopefully Dan Quinn still has some of that Saint hate from his Atlanta days.
Everything you said has logic to it. In no universe can I sit here and say what a dummy Jason Minix is. However, everything that you just said was also applicable to the Las Vegas Raiders, was it not? Team coming off of 2 straight tough losses against a division rival, another team competing for a wild card spot in the AFC. Head coachless, obviously, the tragedy that happened with Henry Ruggs. Just a rudderless team, rudderless organization, and they showed up to your house on a short week and toyed with you, had fun with you. Wore a cowboy hat in the post game with Tracy Wolfson, eating turkey legs and whatnot. And so I think it's fair, however irrational it is, to be afraid of the narrative. And wouldn't the narrative be, the head coach that the Cowboys have lusted after for so long, and Sean Payton, they have to go against him, ironically, without their head coach and Mike McCarthy, incidentally with a head coach and Dan Quinn, who has squared off against Sean Payton in the past, and lose. Wouldn't it, it was the Thursday after Thanksgiving, if you want to talk about running quarterbacks, that the Cowboys breathed life into Mitchell Trubisky's career as an NFL quarterback. In fact, the very next day, we had some emergency morning blitz sessions because we thought Jason Garrett would be fired. And so, it would be very characteristic of who I unfortunately have to say they are kind of becoming, to go to New Orleans and to set the Superdome on fire with all these Saints fans having a party, putting themselves back in the NFC, or not NFC East, but NFC playoff mix as a wild card team.
Yeah, I just look at the Cowboys in history. I remember them going down to New Orleans, facing an undefeated Saints team and ruining that for them. I mean, Taysom Hill hadn't played in 2 weeks. He's going to play this week, coming off a bad foot. Let him. I want to know about Alvin Kamara. I think that becomes the difference maker for the Cowboys. And Anthony Brown, he's got 2 seasons worth of pass interferences just from Thanksgiving alone. So he should be able to cover whatever the Saints are rolling out at wide receiver. It's just, to me, I don't want to sound desperate, but if the Cowboys don't beat the Saints on Thursday night, regardless of everything they've got going on right now, assuming the starters are available, the Cowboys starters that we're not going Cooper Rush because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. This Cowboy team, if we're the team that we think they are, they bounce back from Thanksgiving and they go kick the crap out of the Saints.
Again, I agree with you, but I think that was also true. I think we had those same conversations a week ago today, right? If this is truly the team we think they are, they shake off the loss in Kansas City. They acknowledge, they were on the road, tough environment, Mahomes, blah, 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 whatever. And they beat the Raiders on a short. And that's the thing, the short week is not a surprise to the Cowboys. They're not stunned by playing on Thanksgiving. They get owned in it, but I mean, this is, and interestingly enough, they generally, more often than not, lose on Thanksgiving, but they do tend to somewhat respond, that Chicago game aside, the Thursday after. We've seen the Cowboys go to Minnesota and win. We've seen them beat New Orleans. Granted, that game was at AT&T Stadium. You mentioned the undefeated Saints in 2009. That was in New Orleans. They also beat the undefeated Saints in 2018 at AT&T Stadium, back when Jalen Smith was awesome. And so, I mean, it's scarier than it should be. But you're right. I mean, would I be floored if the Cowboys found a way to show up there and have their way with them? No. Would I be happy if they did? Yes. Would I act like it was the biggest win of the season? Totally. Would I be lying? Probably. But would I also be surprised if they lost and continued this skid? No. And then I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles lost to the Jets to keep them further alive. That's just kind of the way this thing goes. It's a roller coaster of emotions. You lose one day, you hate football, you don't want to hear anything, except you always listen to the Blitz, of course, and then you win and you're back in it, baby.
He is RJ Ochoa. Nothing surprises him. Nothing surprises him, apparently. He's lying, too. But that's the crazy thing about this. The Cowboys, in a lot of ways, are the NFL season. Every week, there's some team loses, and you go, how the hell did that happen? Right? I mean, there's been so much of that this year. The parity that Roger Goodell in the NFL wants, I think in a lot of ways, we are seeing it. The Jets in the Texans game.
Sorry,
Baltimore. What did Lamar throw up 4 interceptions yesterday and they still win? I mean, it's just bizarre. You look at Tennessee, 1 week can look great, and then the next week Ryan Tannehill throws for 92 yards. It makes no sense, which is why we love it.
It's funny. You mentioned Lamar Jackson throwing 4 interceptions, the Ravens winning. Baltimore was the first team to win with a quarterback throwing at least 4 interceptions since the Seattle Seahawks against the Green Bay Packers, led by Mike McCarthy, in the 2014 NFC Championship game, the game that they got to because Gene Steratore incorrectly decided that Dez Bryant did not catch it, when we all know that Dez heroically leapt up and caught it at Lambeau Field. And you're right. I mean, anything can happen. And that's why, it's uneasy to say, all right, New Orleans, Washington, New York, Washington, Arizona, whatever, Philly, Cowboys should win 5 of their final 6. You really think that? Like, you really going to bet on, like, consistency for anybody, especially the Cowboys right now? I mean, would you be stunned if, that Washington, New York, Washington stretch, those 3 in a row, if they lost one, if things got sticky, they have 3 road games coming up: at New Orleans, at Washington, at New York. I mean, you taking them in all 3 of those?
I don't know. I'll let you know. I'll let you know how this first one goes. I mean, but that's the crazy thing. Like right now, if I were to say, yeah, I would say yes. I would take them. I would take. I don't know what the spreads are. I wouldn't put your money down on it. But am I going to pick the Cowboys to win every game except for maybe the Arizona game right now, I would. I think they're the better football team. They've got to start playing like it. They've got to get Zeke healthy because I think that's a key. And you get DeMarcus Lawrence back, you get Randy Gregory back, you get Neville Gallimore back. It's nice to know the cavalry is coming.
Yeah, and theoretically that makes sense, right? And Tristan Hill now, will come back in 2 weeks. Hopefully, hopefully you start to peak, right? Like that's this, and everybody says, look at the Buccaneers last year. You can find a team from any year to fit the narrative you want.
Absolutely. And the difference is this year, I think a lot of Cowboy fans actually believe they have a chance to make a legitimate playoff run because of the roster that they have put together, and Jerry Jones should get a lot of credit for that. And we've seen them when they are hitting on all cylinders. They are a fun team to watch. But if one is not working right, man, it's like having a Ferrari and you live in Seattle and it's raining 300 days a year and you can't take it out of the garage.
I think that's a good analogy. I don't know who would ever want to live in Seattle personally, but I will ask you this,
Me neither.
Jason, or I'll tell you this. I don't know if you know. Then I told you the next 3 games are on the road for the Cowboys, but the next 2 at New Orleans and next Washington will feature the Dallas Cowboys wearing their Navy jerseys. How do you feel about this?
I am not a subscriber of the blue jersey jinx anymore. I used to be. See, Bob Lilly told me one time it was real because in the old days the fabric, it was so hot. And
those weren't Navy, to be fair. Like if we're being literal here.
But the way the jerseys are now and the way the Cowboys have been for the last 20 years, hell, I think I've got a 20-year-old ornament on my tree that just got put up. We put it up again.
Oh, that was so sad on your Instagram story, dude. That made me so sad.
I mean, I've had that thing for 20 years. Santa, all I want. I've been good. All that crap, just the Cowboys Super Bowl. It's all I want.
You've been good. Sure.
Ironically, Christine Lacey from ESPN, she has the same ornament, but for the Buffalo Bills. I guess they made that for every team, not just Cowboy fans. So I look at this and you sit there and you say, this team legitimately has the opportunity to actually get it done this year. And that's different than in a lot of years where we hoped. This year, I think we can.
Well, I think we can. I think it's fair. I think it's scary, but I think that's what makes it fun. I also think that even if the Naval Academy doesn't, the Dallas Cowboys at least have enough pride and honor to wear the color Navy, which is exciting with regards to their uniform choice.
And the Cowboys have proven they can lose and win in the blue jersey and the white jersey. Over the last 20 years, they've lost in just about everything. So I don't know. I'm not a subscriber of the blue jersey jinx, especially in December, because it started because it was hot. And so other teams wanted the Cowboys in those blue jerseys to make them sweat like pigs. And that's what Bob Lilly had told me. Then Bob Lilly told me he does not believe in the blue jersey jinx anymore. Therefore, I do not believe in the blue jersey jinx.
I think that's well said. I think you could run for governor, and I would vote for you, Jason, the next time.
Apparently Matthew is not. So, I mean, there's an opening.
Right. I have one final question for you, and it's the most important one, which is why I've actually 2. My first one, the less important one, is the cigars you mentioned for the birth of my son. Will they be purchased or will they be Ray Lewis's?
They will be purchased, but I can purchase you the Ray Lewis Rocky Patel. They sell them over there at 1911 Cigars. Is that the one you want?
I mean, I'm just saying, I want everything above board, because I know sometimes you have a history. That's all I'm saying. Again,
you have one of those. You probably never even smoked it, just in case.
Yeah, I was terrified. My second question, again, the most important question I've asked you today: did you buy your Spider-Man No Way Home tickets?
I don't know what you speak of.
That's a lie. That's a lie, Jason. I know you're going with Pledge. You're dressing up. Pledge is going to be Venom. You're going to be Spider-Man. Rob's going to be Green Goblin, obviously. I mean, it's going to be a blitz and, whole station party there at, the theater up there by the old Casa.
I don't know what you're talking about. Is there another Spider-Man movie coming out? I mean, because we're just coming back off of Ghostbusters, which I haven't seen yet.
Oh, wow. We have so much work to do, Jason. I mean, so much work. I did want to take this opportunity to say I finished watching Loki, and it was fantastic.
You've been a dad now for a week. Your days of going to the movies to see what you want to see are long over.
I will say this.
Just realize that.
I told this to Rob and Michael earlier. I did not realize how dangerous the earth was. Everything is dangerous. Everything presents, potential harm to my child. Why have we been living this way? Why are there ever corners on any piece of furniture? Why have we not rounded every single thing that exists on this planet?
Oh, because the people that sell all the baby-proofing stuff wouldn't have a job if that were the case. RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com. Always appreciate it, my friend, and congrats to you and Kimmy on the birth of your son.